Hello, this is Sherman Blackwell, and welcome to this week's program presented by Singing River Mental Health. Thank you for joining us today. My guest today is Greg Gipson. Greg is intensive case manager for Singing River Services. He also runs our PATH program. Greg, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you very much, Doctor.
Good to have you. Greg's been on the program before and has a very, very important job at Singing River and been there 6 years now.
6 years.
6 years, and he's responsible for looking after heading up the PATH program, which deals with homeless people.
That's
pretty
correct.
much. What exactly is PATH?
In 1990, something called the Stewart-McKinley Homeless Act authorized a program to deal with the needs of the homeless who are severely mentally ill. Mm-hmm. And my job is to go out and locate and identify these individuals and refer them to Singing River Services if necessary, or other charitable organizations.
Right, exactly.
But if we do get them to Singing River Services, let them go through the intake process so that they can be assigned a therapist or a doctor or a case manager, and these individuals can help them transition out of a homeless situation into a home or an apartment or other living situation.
Greg, in your 6 years with Singing River, have you seen that population increase in Jackson County?
I have seen it increase, and I guess you could say it fluctuates due to the nature of our transients. We live on Interstate 10 and Highway 90, and I might see one homeless individual today and make an appointment to see him tomorrow, and I might not see him anymore. Then I might see another homeless individual at the same time. So a lot of times I don't see the same individuals more than once. But I have seen it increase. Seen people living on the bridges and tents and on the streets and jail and what have you. So and in shelters and around food pantries and places like that. So I would say it has increased quite a bit.
Yeah, that's you make a good point. Of course, coastal counties traditionally, in a lot of areas, not just ours, but when you have two main arteries like Highway 90 and then I-10 that run through, people do, as opposed to being somewhere where that may not be the place. It's a conduit for them. I read and got some information, and that. By some estimates, this is SAMHSA in 2008 said that as over the last 5 year period, that as many as 5 to 8 million Americans were homeless at least one night.
Right. I read the same survey, and they said in an average week, an estimated 637,000 adults are homeless in America. And of these, 20 to 25% of them have serious mental illness. That's where PATH comes into play.
Yeah, you make a good point with that. That's very important. It's not just individuals with mental illness that are homeless, but our target and our focus group are those individuals that
is exactly correct.
That have some type of mental illness, and when you've been doing this, and you've got to almost be called to do something like this. The thing that you do, when you see an individual or you come in contact, because like you said, you seen them in tents, under bridges, and all that. What is your approach? How do you?
That's a very good question. You have to gain. A lot of these individuals are scared and apprehensive to begin with, and I guess it's an art and some instinct to know where to go and just how to approach these individuals. I'd like to think that I have the personality and the temperament to approach just about anybody, and it's an art to it. Might have to have some water or food or
Right.
just let them know that I'm real I mean what I'm doing, and I'm not trying to play on their emotions or anything. So I'm trying to get, sometimes it's an art gaining their trust, but I like to think after all this time, I have the thing that's necessary to do so.
Yeah, and that's and then you have to make an assessment. I guess you see a lot of different personality types. You see people say some people move across the country by choice.
Right.
They just that's a lifestyle for them. And then being able to differentiate those that might have a mental health issue can be.
Right. And I'm not. Some of the people that work at Singing River Services have more education and experience in making those assessments. My goal is to get them into the office, and if they meet that characteristic, then we'll just proceed from there.
Right.
There are other ways we can help individuals, and they might not necessarily need to go through that. Be assigned a therapist or a case manager to see the doctor, and we have a limited amount of services that we can offer in that regard.
Right.
And we discussed that,
Right, earlier. We did. What, with the, here again, with the unemployment as of this past month, or 9.5%, the prospects for unemployment to be 10 or 11% seem to be continue to go up. Individuals who lost their job, losing a job is second or third to like a death. It's a pretty devastating kind of thing. There are a lot of layoffs. There are a lot of things that are happening, and the residual effect of that, of course, is where it affects their relationships with their partners, their wives, their husband. That trickles to their children, and then to even in the social interaction of people like that. And even the apprehension of, I may lose my job, or what's coming down creates a lot of things for, I know we're talking about a little bit separate. You're talking about those that are seriously and profoundly, they're homeless and they're mentally ill, but this kind of many times becomes the gateway for people to become homeless. That's a lot of people have a lot of fear and trepidation about losing their homes, family, and we're not trying to be excitable or just naysayers, but the fact is there are a lot of homeless people out there.
There are, and I think I said a little earlier somewhere else on another program that I've met people from New York, California. You wouldn't believe, it's a form that I fill out, and I ask them where they're from, and there's a lot of them not even from here. They just come down. It's so bad where they come from. So we have a litany of problems that we have to deal with through PATH, and we just do the best we can with the limited amount of resources that we have. Right.
Yeah, and that is limited. But you work closely, I know, with great organizations like the Salvation Army.
Right. Vocational Rehab, Camp Victor in Ocean Springs, they've been great. All these organizations have been great. Even the food kitchens, I don't know what we'd do if we didn't have those. The one in Ocean Springs, the Lord is My Help, and the one over here on Old Mobile Highway. Great organizations, and everybody's fighting for that dollar. And it's tight, but we just go. I'm just assured. I want to assure everybody that we have their best interests at heart, and we're going to do the best we can with what we have.
Right, exactly, and we have been, and in a time, in an age where the last few weeks on the program, I've been talking about the issues with funding and a lot of programs and programs such as yours that doesn't create any revenue for, but it's a tremendous need in our area, and as it is in so many areas, to be able to take care, serve as a resource person for individuals. And that's why it's so important that people, and I think they've come into some solutions, as if I could give you a little update on the funding for Medicaid match in the state of Mississippi for community and mental health centers. And we'll bring you up to date with that a little more along, but it's programs like the one that Greg is over our PATH program, and that would be at jeopardy to go away. And how many, Greg, how many homeless individuals would you say, I know it's episodic, it changes day to day, but in any given definitive time frame would you come in contact with?
Just
a week?
I've been averaging about, I'd say, because about 20, 25 a month, really. You know?
Okay, okay.
And of those, we normally enroll about 5, you know, that go through the whole PATH process and go through Singing River Services and assign a case manager and what have you. Some of them don't necessarily need to go through that, like I said. They
right.
This housing services, that's some of them, that's all they might need is the last line of defense to keep them from becoming homeless, altogether. So sometimes we can help them like with rent and down payment on an apartment or utilities or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
And you'd be surprised how it goes a long way sometimes, because.
Or even, I guess, a bus ticket, because a lot of times individuals are sometimes, I guess, many people who we may come across that have mental illness, their parents are seriously, or they have loved ones that are seriously concerned about where they, and they don't know where they are.
That's right.
And
they want to get back home. Sometimes they even have jobs back home. You know,
right.
We sent some people back to, not long ago, to Providence, Rhode Island. It was 2 of them. They were down here and things didn't work out. And they got a phone call from their relatives saying they were opening up a business and they needed a bus ticket home, so we were able to do that. And I was real pleased that we were able to do so.
Yeah. My guest today is Greg Gipson. Greg's an intensive case manager with Singing River Services. He is also heads up our PATH program, where we deal directly with homeless individuals, and we go into the community, he goes out into the community to contact them and get assessments and do things along those lines. And we're going to come back in the second half of the program, and we're going to talk some more. May I ask Greg some more questions about different things that are happening with the homeless. But if you have any inquiries about something that's been said on this program or a previous program, be sure to give us a call at the number you see on the screen there. It is available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we have a lot of information. And as Greg was saying, we can certainly be a resource to a lot of people. And you may know of someone who is in the throes of almost losing their home or having those kinds of problems, and we would be glad to get you some information to help you with that. This is Sherman Blackwell, and we're going to take a break, and after these commercial messages, we'll be right back. Hello, this is Sherman Blackwell, and welcome back to today's program. Thank you for joining us and tuning in today. My guest is Greg Gipson. Greg is an intensive case manager for Singing River Mental Health and has been doing so for 6 years now. Also over our PATH program, which is a program designed targeting to go into the community to identify and assess homeless individuals that possibly would meet the criteria and have a particular mental health need, and for us to serve them. And that is one thing that of many that Singing River Mental Health does, and there's certainly no remuneration for that. That's something that we do. It's a funding that comes in order to serve the community, better serve the community, and help in our community. And I guess everyone knows, Greg, we all, to a certain degree, are sympathetic to individuals that are truly homeless.
Definitely.
That are true.
It's the thing about it, it hits home, because I have a family, I have friends.
Right.
And some of those have experienced that. And at one time I was homeless because I lived in that devastating Hurricane Katrina
Right.
put me in a homeless situation. So we
Right.
are
Right.
very empathetic towards these individuals, and we're just going to do all we can with what we have to keep. If they need to come to Singing River Services, we're going to get them there and see if we can get them some help and assign some individuals that might be able to help them find somewhere to stay.
And I think as we were talking before the break, it's, you know, when you are as one person and seeing as many as 25 homeless people in Jackson County a month,
Right.
and different folks, and you're looking at 300 on an average for a year,
Right.
which may go up or down. That's a pretty large number.
It is,
And I know some of them move on, some of them stay, but
Right.
they're in the community, and many times the concern, and I'm sure that the people the authorities that protect our citizens are interested in that, and I know many times for law enforcement it can be a dilemma when you've got someone that is transient and with a mental illness,
Right.
homeless
Yeah.
with a mental illness.
Threefold problem.
Exactly, and everyone knows that sometimes when people are homeless, like I said, we're the last line of defense many times. They end up in jail.
Right.
There's concern about crime in the community when you're talking about someone who doesn't have anything to lose.
Right.
So
and
to
like you
speak.
said before, diseases and all that kind of stuff. When when people stop, personal hygiene and all that, it's something about it. It becomes lax when a person gets into a situation, they get depressed. It's kind of easy to see how they can just let themselves go physically and let the personal hygiene go. So that's why we want to try to get them into Singing River Services if
Right.
they meet the qualifications,
Right.
and so they can get them some help in that respect.
Well, we're talking again, the prospects of that with unemployment going up, recession, those kinds of things that are happening in our nation that are real.
Right.
Fortunately, here in Jackson County, we have some strong buffers, got some strong employment places, and some good leadership,
That's
of
right.
course, in our cities and in our county. Good leadership, and those things are important. But there are a lot of areas where that's not so.
That's correct. And if you travel to the county, like Jackson County is our catchment area, and you can see that look like the further, when you get off into the rural areas.
Right.
Now that's a challenge there.
That is.
And sometimes I've gotten lost. Out on some of these roads, just
Right.
trying to fight poverty and homelessness.
Exactly. Well, you gave a statistic, and we're talking about nearly 700,000 people every night.
Yeah, 637,000.
And
20 to 25%. Now that puts you into a dilemma. 20 to 25% of those have a serious mental illness. That's kind of scary.
it is, and it happens every night.
Every
That's not a long over
Right.
a period. That's every night.
Right.
That's not always the same people
Right,
every
right.
night, and then the prospectus of 25% of those people having some type of mental
Right.
illness is.
But a PATH program is a formula-based program, and sometimes it makes you wish you lived in New York because they have all the people there and they get the big bucks. So and since I guess you would call us a rural state compared
Exactly.
to New York. So our funds are
Right.
real limited. Although we had that catastrophe and it made our homeless situation skyrocket.
Exactly.
But
We were talking at the break about some things. Some in this population, and we were talking earlier today, in this population that you deal with, you kind of surprised me that you see a lot of veterans.
yeah, I guess in my dealings I found 15% of the people that I've come in contact with were veterans. That doesn't sound like much, but it is because
that is.
but I would still encourage people to get in touch with me. There are a lot of programs available for veterans. I don't want to get into specifics on right now, but if they need to know something, if there are any veterans out there that need some assistance, call me. As simple as I can put it.
Or if there may be somebody who knows a veteran,
right.
who knows a veteran and knows that the veteran is homeless or displaced.
At risk of becoming homeless.
At risk of becoming homeless, and that you've got some.
The administration in Washington is placing a lot of emphasis on helping veterans, because they're coming from over there with PTSD and
right.
And then some of them have lost, lost a limb or something. That can lead to mental illness itself. I mean, all of a sudden here you are paralyzed or something like that. So we just
loss of limb. Right.
We want to put emphasis on helping those veterans.
On helping veterans, and that's a good point. And sometimes, as you mentioned, Greg, we'll get them in, and that's why some of the 40 programs that we have can really assist. Tell us a success story that you have.
Well, we discussed one earlier, but there are several success stories that I can talk about. I referred people to the Same River Services, and they were assigned a case manager, and they were trying to get on disability, qualified disability because they had a serious mental illness and was homeless. So I just worked with the case manager, and these 2 or 3 individuals, I would say, were successful in getting a disability and being, Section 8 and being placed in a home, and they are doing quite well. Case management is not meant to be a lifetime thing, I don't think.
Right.
So we monitored these individuals, and eventually they became self-sufficient. Several situations like that. So we've been pretty successful, I think, and I couldn't be more excited about the PATH program, and we're going to continue to implement the policies that it was designed for.
Well, that's good, and my hat's off to you, and I know a lot of people also feel the same way. I mean, if you help one, that's one less person that is at risk for disease, jail,
right,
or some ending up in a criminal kind of situation and that kind of thing.
One of our programs that has been helpful to me is our transitional housing over here.
Okay.
And we have some people there that love it, man. I mean, they basically came out of ditches, and then after they got in there and started going to outreach to the clubhouse and things like that, and now they just really love their way of life, and they're there right now,
Right.
So those are some other success stories. We've had quite a few that I can talk about.
We and I think it's we were talking earlier. We all we try to have a professional, put our best professional foot forward at Singing River, and for some that includes dress, and everybody has a uniform, whether it's a uniform per se to fit that part. And you, of course, you have to, when you don't go under a bridge wearing a 3-piece suit.
That's correct. So,
no.
But we have badges now, so I can identify myself, and I'm real pleased about that.
Yeah.
So so if you see me showing up with blue jeans, and I won't have a tank top on or anything, but so. Well, we there to help you.
Well, you got to approach people, meet them where they are,
right,
and go from there.
Been real successful with word of mouth too. A lot of people know about this program, and I get calls all the time. Man.
Well, that is good. I'm glad to hear that.
That is churches.
Good, good, and and like you said, some of the things we do may assist them with. Power bills.
That's one of the housing services where they don't necessarily have to be just going through the intake process. I can just take care of that and kind of nip it in the bud, you might say.
Yeah, right. Kind of direct line to that.
That's correct.
When you treat, or when someone is found to be in a pretty desperate situation, and that's pretty desperate when you're living out in a tent, a cardboard box, or under a tree somewhere.
And I've seen this, man. I mean, I see it right after Katrina, man. In a country like ours, it was disheartening, man. It make you want to cry, But we doing better, and we got good leadership on at St. Louis.
Well, you make a good point. I think a lot of people that were displaced during Katrina can have some appreciation for it. You know, and we're not. Everyone is homeless. Are they homeless because they're homeless because they may be running or hiding or choose to be, like we said? But we're not talking about that population. No. We're talking about those that need our help, need our assistance, and those that have special needs regarding mental health issues. Right. My guest today has been Greg Gipson. Greg is an intensive case manager with Singing River Mental Health. He is also the coordinator of our PATH program. You work for two real nice ladies, Shelley and Beth.
And I couldn't be more excited about that. They've been real helpful to me, and they let me run the program like I see fit. And I want to give a shout out to those two ladies.
Yeah, Beth was on the program, I think it was last week, and so she's always does a good job with that. If you have any inquiries about something that we've said today, or and this is talking about our homeless intensive case management program, we would be glad to get that information to you. You have some inquiries, you can call our mainline number that you see there on your screen, and it is we can get you hooked up with Greg, or like I said, or Shelley or Beth Fennick, and they can get that information to Greg. And and Greg's a wonderful resource person. We don't have a pot of gold of money, but we do have the ability to help people get when they want to, and get reconnected into society with their family, or living as autonomously as they can. And so Greg, thanks again for being on the program.
Okay.
Good to see you. And we're going to look forward to next week, and we're going to have a very special guest on the program then. Until then, this is Sherman Blackwell. Thanks for tuning in.